Hi, I'm Laura Bowles, Executive Director of Martinsville Uptown, and I'm here this morning on This is Uptown with Linda Lawrence Dalton, who is the co-owner of Lawrence Distributing Company, and they're going to be our beer distributors for the upcoming Oktoberfest on October 1st. So, Linda, tell me a little bit about Lawrence Distributing. How long has it been around?
Well, my father founded Lawrence Distributing Company in 1954, so we've been around for a while now, and he's been servicing this area, since that time period.
Now he's from our area.
He grew up in Leatherwood and lived in the city of Martinsville for many, many years. Is now located just outside the city in Henry County, and so definitely hometown roots here.
Yeah, well, it's so nice when we have somebody that's local, because I'm forever preaching, shop local. What you spend here stays here. So
yeah.
It's great that, we've got some local business.
And it's good to be involved. We enjoy that. We've been involved for many years in different Martinsville community projects, and very excited to be involved in this one.
Well, and you're our regular distributor for our TGIF event.
Yes, I've been very, very honored to be a part of that series for many years as well.
And Oktoberfest, this is...
Yes, and I've lost count, I think. However long there has been a beer garden at Oktoberfest, we've been affiliated with it, so we're very proud to be a part of that.
But this is our first year. Martinsville Uptown hasn't done Oktoberfest before.
Right.
This is our first
new
time.
ground.
So we're the newbies. You're the ones that are experienced at this.
Oh, me. And yeah, we've had several different versions of the beer garden, but we're really looking forward to this particular version this year, working with you guys.
Well, I know this is a unique year because it's not just Lawrence Distributing. We actually have Samuel Adams, who is sponsoring it.
Right.
So we are absolutely thrilled to death to have them participating.
Well, and they're excited to be a part of it as well. And we're glad to partner with them to help bring what we think will be a really nice beer garden and add to the event a whole lot.
Well, I know I'm hoping that we get a lot of beer connoisseurs out there. And I'm excited that we're not having a standard domestic something that you can get. We're going to have a variety of different things that you can't go to the food line and purchase here.
Right, and there'll be a mixture. We want to appeal to folks who are used to more of a mainline domestic, so there'll be some things that people will have seen before and tried and will be familiar with, because there's some people who are more comfortable with that. But there'll also be several items that you do not see very often in this area for sure, and that are much more difficult to get your hands on, so things that you might not find just anywhere.
Well, now, let's talk a little bit about Samuel Adams.
Okay.
What do you know about the company? It's a craft brewery, right?
Yes. And craft by nature is a small traditional style of brewing using traditional methods. Now, I would say Sam Adams is probably the largest of the craft brewers in America, but still operates in the same way it did when it was very, very small. It was founded in 1984 by Jim Cook. And his family had 5 generations of brewing experience. His father had gotten out of the brewing business, but saved all the recipes and all the good stuff just in case, down the road somebody might want to use them. And
it's like the Baldwins off the Waltons.
Exactly,
the recipes.
It was in an attic in a trunk, and it sounds like the Baldwin sisters. But anyway, Jim actually went to college and was starting a career in management consulting, and he just felt drawn, kind of, I guess, a calling to become part of the beer business again and to, carry on that tradition in 1984.
I bet there are a lot of people that get called by some beer.
Just most of them aren't quite as successful as Jim Cook was, but yes, he was called. And anyway, he began experimenting with those old recipes and found his favorite and decided to brew that in his kitchen in Boston. And he worked with the recipe, and then he brewed it, and then he went around to Boston pubs and restaurants and begged people to try the recipe, and he was very pleased to find out that folks really took to it, and he named it Samuel Adams because he was a Boston patriot, a revolutionary thinker, and also a brewer himself. And so he said, well, what better name? It's coming out of Boston. It's sort of revolutionary. At the time he was doing that, it was mainly mainline domestic, lights and premiums that people were drinking. And the scene was set for sort of a revolution of sorts. So that was a perfect name, and that's why, Samuel Adams became what it is.
So they haven't even been brewing for 20 years yet.
And it has been an amazing, evolution in a short amount of time. Started with the Boston Lager, which is, the mainstay, but then they added light, and then they started experimenting with all different kinds of brews. And there are now a dozen or so in the seasonal category. There are a little over a dozen in the Brewmasters collection, and then there are several that are very experimental and only offered in very, very low volume, maybe at the brewery itself.
A Brewmasters collection. That
Yes.
sounds serious.
It does sound exciting.
What's a Brewmasters collection?
These are some of the beers where the brewmaster spends a lot of time experimenting and coming up with something that will be really special and really appeal to different taste palettes for the craft drinker. So.
A brewmaster. Whoever grows up thinking they're going to be a brewmaster, is that one of those people that has to taste it, that has like their taste buds insured for some money?
I think so. And one thing that's really interesting, I think that the brewmaster has to be an interesting combination of scientist and artist.
Right.
And to develop to that level must be, way beyond my understanding. I love to taste beer, but to know it at that level, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Well, now tell me about some of the different brews. You said that they are a craft brewery.
Mm-hmm.
What is a craft brewery exactly?
Well, mainly, as I mentioned earlier, it's a brewery that sticks to the traditional methods, does not use mass production and those big lines that you've seen if you've gone to visit a brewery in some of the big cities and so forth, the St. Louis's, the the Colorados and all that.
So what I grew up watching, Laverne and Shirley, where they've got those big bottling line and their bottle cappers, that isn't Sam Adams.
No, not to the degree that you would see there. Now that they have grown to the point where they have to have some mechanization, much more so than they did when they first started out, but it's still going to be a lot more hands-on and attention to the traditional details of brewing.
Well, so tell me about the beers that we might have at Oktoberfest. I know the list didn't finalize.
That's correct.
But I want our beer connoisseurs to know they're coming out and going to get a treat and an opportunity to try out some unique things that they're not going to find anywhere else around here.
Well, I'll share with you some of the things we know that we'll bring and some that we're considering right now. And I brought some notes. I am not a beer connoisseur. I enjoy beer immensely, but I'm not a connoisseur. So I thought I'd bring a few tasting notes and share some with you. First of all, we will have the Samuel Adams Boston Lager. That's the mainstay. That's what the original is, and a lot of folks have grown to love that. That will be available.
But we're also going to have the light beer of
We are. And one thing that's neat about the light is that it's not a watered-down version of the original lager. It was created basically from scratch to be lighter, but to also have a lot of flavor infused into the beer. So basically they've roasted the malt to add the color and the flavor without adding calories. That's where you get into that scientific part,
But I believe you also said we're probably going to have the Oktoberfest beer.
We will. We certainly will, and that's very appropriate considering we're doing Oktoberfest.
My husband actually tried that last night. He said it was delicious.
It is very tasty.
And he doesn't normally drink Sam Adams, but he thought that was just a great beer.
That is probably in our service area, our territory, the most popular. It is so tasty, and it's malted barley that is 5 different varieties, I should say. And so all that brings in this really rich flavor. And when you pour it in the glass, you get this beautiful, deep red amber hue, and that is just, it's a delight to the eyes, to the nose, and to the palate.
Well, we only got a couple seconds left here. Could you tell us some of the other choices real quickly that we might be able to get?
One that you'll definitely have for sure that is a super popular one right now is Samuel Adams Latitude 48 IPA. Great brew, and it is really gaining popularity. We know we'll have that one. Several that we are hoping to bring. One is called Samuel Adams Cranberry Lambic. Very, very tasty, fruitful brew. Then we're hoping to also bring the Samuel Adams Cherry Wheat. It's a wheat beer. It has that cherry taste, but also a hint of honey. Very flavorful as well. Another one that we're considering is the Samuel Adams Blackberry Wheat Beer. Wheat beers are the very white beer is
Right.
very clear, very tasty as well. And then another one that should be, hopefully we'll get to bring, and it should be very interesting for Oktoberfest because it sort of has a German background
German
to
roots.
it,
That's
is the
great.
Samuel Adams Hefeweizen. And it's unfiltered wheat ale, fruity and bright with a crisp flavor of wheat in it as well.
Well, it sounds like we've got a lot of great choices. I know our beer connoisseurs are going to be looking forward to coming out. We want to say thank you so much for your participation, and thank you to Samuel Adams for sponsoring it. We're thrilled to have you.
Well, we're thrilled to be there.
Thanks for being here, Linda.
Thanks.